Hey everyone, so in this video I'm going to go through some of the war film that I have, as well as some of the teams that I've been struggling with, along with an idea on how to counter some of these very heavy offensive defense teams that, either have a Mercer lead or an Angel lead, where it just becomes almost impossible to control the defense, and you end up losing, sometimes on the first turn, like this. So really quickly, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more information on The Walking Dead Road to Survival. And here you're going to see me kind of build a couple different types of teams, and I'll kind of talk through what I'm thinking of when I'm making these teams, I guess, because I've been struggling a lot against Mercer leads or Angel leads where the defense ends up rushing on the first turn because of Dr. Stevens, and then being either stunned completely or dazed, so I don't have that much control. So this type of team that I'm trying to construct right now, ideally it would be an S-Class Mercer lead in order to go against their S-Class Mercer. I'm thinking of Angel just because even if I can't use her active skill on turn 1, if I can use it on turn 2, then it might be a method of killing Dr. Stevens off, who uses 100% AP gain and then gives AP to the rest of the team. Like here, I stunned 2 of their characters, so Nick was not able to command Dr. Stevens, but I'm still in a precarious position. My princess is only a 6-star, so there's some control there, and my team does not gain AP fast enough because Mercer is AP when being attacked. And it doesn't help that both of these Priyas have Rampage on their weapons, so it ends up just being kind of like a null game for me, where I have no way that I can win. I am thinking that in the future I will definitely run a Mercer lead against a team like this. Another option would be to actually use Angel as a lead in order to try and daze Dr. Stevens to start. But in my case, I would need more S-Class toons in order to support that team. Obviously, running Angel as a lead, I'm losing an attack bonus as well as AP by gaining the daze and defense. I'm trying to put on a couple yellow toons here just to help my team rush a bit faster, hopefully by turn 2, because Michelle has an active AP gain. Now unfortunately I started off with 4 toons stunned, so it makes it to be a very difficult match. But I have some ideas for the future for some other people who have the proper toons to combat this, and not just by using maybe an Angel lead or a Mercer lead and just praying to RNG that it works out, because most of the time it doesn't, and it's difficult to create a consistent strategy when you have inconsistent toons. Like, most of my ideas so far and really moving forward are going to be almost luck based, because if you end up stunned on the first turn by Mercer, it's going to be very difficult for you to recover from that, because the opponent will have that advantage of being able to attack first, which usually the offense has. So in this case, I'm trying to use Mr. Jones, just because when he gets off a critical hit, he can apply Confuse. So if I'm able to confuse Priya, for instance, who has Rampage, then I would say I'm in a very good position, because she could end up attacking her own team. And with enough damage, well, I could get lucky. So here I got off 2 critical hits on both Priyas, and the first one and the second one both hit their own team, but it wasn't enough damage. Even applying Angel's Exhaust wasn't enough to make up for the amount of HP that this defense S-Class team has. So it is an idea, and I think as I get more S-Class toons, it might be more practical. Now, this is a match from War, and as you see, I was a little lucky based on the number of toons that were stunned, as well as that my stunning worked on Xander. And because I had Diego get his AP on the first turn, it really made the match a lot easier to handle, because I was able to use that control, I was able to defense down the enemy, impair them, and then I was able to rush my important characters for a fast win. Now, this next team that I face is a little interesting. With a Mercer lead, it has Cam behind, Priya, Angel, as well as Sheila, who I don't see many of. She was only on that one stash for a little while, and I know she's a lacerator. I know that she also revives, so she's an interesting toon. Cam, I don't want him to go off, because when he goes off, I get stuck in those taunt loops, and it's pretty irritating. Thankfully, his active skill, I believe, is a turn 3 active skill, so it gives me a little more power and control over the situation. Now, unfortunately, the reflect damage as well as the bide contributed to killing my Priya, but I have this team pretty much dead set and done, so long as I can keep enough control over it. And part of that control is remembering what toons do. Like right there when Sheila revived Cam, it kind of put me back a step and it made this match go on a bit longer. But because I'm against a faction like Walkers, I know that I don't have a long time to live, A, and B, it's never a bad thing to practice on good teams, especially when we're just in Blitz War, where it matters a little bit less about your placement, in my opinion. To me, it's basically a way for you to prepare for cross-regional war, or in my case, for WOC. I want to be practicing against these hard teams and figuring them out. Like, this is another one of those turn 1 teams that is quite difficult for me, so kudos to you, Neo. It's just, I cannot control a team like this. I don't have the type of control needed. I have 2 stun weapons on this team. I can't use my active taunt, and this team will automatically go off because it has 20% AP weapons to self, huge AP, and then commanders. So in my case, there's no point in me attacking this type of team if I can't control it to start. Even if I ran an Angel lead, it wouldn't matter on that last team because they were using 20% AP weapons to self and a huge bonus to AP. So it wasn't conditional on a Dr. Stevens, but only conditional on them having this AP. So AP drain methods would help a lot. And now the team that I'm facing is more of a stall-out team, and it has some tanky characters. So Mercer automatically slows my team down, of course. We have Leopo, who when she rushes, she dazes as well as impairs and does attack down. So she's the character that really makes matches long for me, and having an absolute defense weapon is a huge bonus for her. I would also say if you added the ability Stonewall, which prevents a toon's defense from being lowered, to be a huge addition to a toon like Leopo. She's already very tanky, and by decreasing the enemy's attack, as well as preventing them from rushing, it just makes her to be very effective. Like, I'm going to spend a number of turns just trying to take her down here, because half my attacks are being blocked by absolute defense, and then the other attacks that I have are at 40% of their power if she ends up rushing, which she did. So it just becomes a very long match. A bleed team probably would have been more suitable there. So the question soon comes to be, how do we stop characters like Priya and Arav, who can rush on turn 1 on defense, from annihilating your team before you even get started? And to be honest, there is a pretty good passive way that you can get these toons to work for you. And it doesn't always work, but if you have these toons, I would highly recommend them. The first one is Payback Negan. We already know he's a really good defensive toon, and most people add on a reflect damage mod, so if someone uses Priya on him, then he reflects the damage back. The other one after that is Wayland, another payback toon. And to explain how I would use these payback toons on offense is just in a simple video. We already know that payback characters, if they receive more than 30% damage of their max HP off of a rush, then they return the damage back onto the toon that inflicted it, as well as 2 others. It's a really simple way to make the defensive team pay for using offensive characters, and it's a passive way of beating a team by just allowing them to attack you. And it works on a variety of different teams. Like, the reason why I think a human shield is a good option is because it forces the toons to attack that line. So if you line up your payback toon along with your human shield, they're forced to aim down that line, which can be their demise in the end. And another idea is, if you know that there's a Dr. Stevens on defense, you could run Angel as support and apply exhaust on turn 1, while also having that payback toon behind the human shield. That way, Dr. Stevens is likely to die in the first turn, because he would have 5,000 maim damage applied, and the exhaust would give 3,000 damage to the other 2 toons who gain the 60% AP, if you were running Angel, that is. Now, I struggled a lot in war, as I mentioned before, against teams like this, even when no one on my offensive team was stunned on the first turn by Mercer. It became incredibly difficult to handle the opponent's team. And with WOC coming up, I'm expecting a lot of these turn 1 rushing teams, or maybe even turn 2, But point is, they're going to be very stacked with Aravs and Priyas. So I need to work on my offense and figuring out ways to take out teams that are quite difficult. Like right here, this Priya annihilates me with her rampage. In the future, I will try to pull for a payback toon, just because this passive way of beating these teams is very simple if you have one. And with a lot of people using these turn 1 defense attack teams, I think it could be really effective at managing it, because right now I am struggling a lot, and I'm sure many of you also are. And running a reviver on this passive team can also help with getting you more points in war by having more toons standing. So this is just one example of a team that you could run in a passive manner in order to beat those turn 1 attack teams. I would love to hear from some of you what you guys have been using, because obviously what I've been using has not been super effective, and that's why I'm really working hard to try and get my S-Class Mercer up and ready so that I can run him on attack in order to help nullify the damage of Mercers on defense as well as Angels on defense. And thank you everyone for watching and listening to my video. I hope you found it informative and helpful.